Drake's archetype is the validation-seeking romantic. He often approaches emotion through reflection, longing, emotional narration, reassurance seeking, and relational significance. His music is frequently saying, "Do I still matter to you emotionally?" Even when he sounds confident. Examples of these songs: remember Marvin's Room, Feel No Ways, Jungle. We can even pick out songs from his current albums. And looking at his media imagery, his visuals often portray isolation and luxury, emotional reflection. He might be texting, or it's nighttime, sadness hidden beneath his success, and emotional accessibility. Even his aesthetic feels emotionally available, but emotionally restless. Okay, Future's emotional archetype, his energy says, "I refuse to emotionally depend on anyone." That's the emotional escape artist. He processes emotional discomfort differently. So instead of seeking emotional reassurance, he often escapes emotion through overstimulation, status, detachment, pleasure, numbness, emotional avoidance, which we can see or hear in his songs Mask Off, Throwaway, Coding Crazy. Definitely go listen to that one. Again, it's crystal clear at that point. The archetype, that theme is loneliness hidden beneath indulgence, disassociating, success emptiness, emotional fatigue, and overstimulation. The pleasure that he's engaging in is purely for emotional medication. Ooh, I made that up. We're going to talk about his media imagery next. Future's media visuals often look like dark luxury, emotional distance, lots of nightlife, intoxication, women as the atmosphere, emotional isolation inside excess. Unlike Drake, Future rarely appears emotionally reachable. His archetype performs controlled emotional detachment. Gunna's archetype uses success, aesthetics, pleasure, fashion, money, environment, smoothness, and altered states as emotional regulation. And then his music often embodies emotional softening through atmosphere. So instead of direct confrontation, it becomes more of a floating energy, numbing, smoothing over tension, emotional dissociation through luxury and rhythm. And then as a listener, we feel a little bit detached from urgency, emotionally sedated, temporarily removed from pressure. And that's why we listen to his music usually at late night drives, isolation, when we're reflecting, escapism, or overstimulation, burnout. Overall, Gunna's energy is less chaotic, less emotionally dramatic, and more emotionally sedated through luxury and rhythm. Okay, so Kanye continuously transforms his identity publicly. It's never gradually, it's never quietly, it's violently, it's chaos, it's toxic most times because his career is not built on stability. He reinvents himself through disruption. I can't say the word. Disruption. Which is every few years there's a new version of Kanye. Whether he's the villain, whether he's a designer, whether he's a prophet, whether he's an outcast, whether he's a genius, okay, or just an artist or a visionary. You know, most people, they're moving through their identity and their different archetypes privately. Kanye does it on stage, loud and proud, okay? So his core archetype is the alchemist without containment, okay? He's not quiet as it's kept. All right, and boom. His career repeatedly enters Negredo, which is mostly visible with his whole entire identity process. He's lost, he has conflict, he has isolation, public backlash, emotional escalation. He never hides his breakdowns. It's all external. He does those interviews, public statements, social media spirals, controversial performances in front of millions of people. Okay? Then he also goes through the albedo stage, which is reconstruction and creation. and he rebuilt his identity with symbolism. Examples of that is 808s and Heartbreak album, Yeezus, The Life of Pablo, Jesus is King, like all of that, okay? That shows his artistic output, but instead of reflecting internally, it's external. Remember, Kanye went through his religious phase, which wasn't random. It makes sense because he had fragmented identity, right? So after those years of controversy, ego inflation, religion offered him structure, stability, moral certainty, and that's what people typically move towards to get that order and organization back into their life. So he fused his performance identity with religion, and then he had the prophet archetype, right, with the celebrity, and he did the whole combination disruptively, ultimately, right? Understand this. Kanye never fully stabilizes, okay? He's never at self-mastery because that would require emotional regulation, stability, grounded embodiment. And his identity is fueled by continuous transformation, chaos, destabilization, right? And instead of integrating, he's reinvented himself every few years. But he does have the power of transmuting the controversy and emotional backlash, any grief, rage, insecurity, ego, alienation. He turns it into music, really good music, aesthetics, movements, a collective kind of theme, which is real alchemy capacity, right? And a lot of artists can't do that. So that's why he is the uncontrolled alchemist, in my opinion.